Justice CJ Kanyaihamba, a man whose voice carried the weight of principle, not just politics. And so in honoring a jurist for all of us Ugandans, we want to note as a team that Justice Kanyaihamba stood not for party, but for principles to protect justice, equality before the law, and to firmly protect constitutional order in this country. We recognize him and we honor him as the lead architect of the 1995 Constitution, the champion of rights and democratic governance. We honor and mourn him because we celebrate his courage. He consistently spoke truth to power, regardless of the political cost. Many Ugandans, maybe the young generation, may have missed that. But the point that he consistently spoke truth to power, a very, very bold person, means a lot to us at this time as a nation. He served with unmatched dignity as a constitutional thinker, a Supreme Court justice, and above all, a truth teller in times when silence was easier. Many Ugandans have decided to keep quiet and watch the country go wherever it wants to go, but that was not Justice George Wilson Kanyaihamba. We particularly remember his lone voice in the Supreme Court ruling on the presidential elections of 2006. And that ruling to date provided a shaking to the foundation of the Museveni government. Nobody had dared to do that, and we are still looking for who else will dare to provide such a position in their judgment. We are also honoring a public intellectual and author, and we remember particularly the fact that he said power without accountability is the beginning of tyranny. These days we are fed on leadership that's not accountable to anybody. Ugandans do not even feature in the equation of leadership these days. But Justice Kanyaihamba reminded everybody in his writings that power without accountability is simply tyranny, and that's what our country is experiencing. And lastly, he taught us that the true test of democracy is not during elections, but in how power is sought and how the rules are respected. And that is why we make the connection between paying tribute to him today and what is happening in our country today. And that takes us to aspect number 2, why we are very concerned about the NRM primaries that are going on now. We want to be clear that we have no intention whatsoever to interfere with the NRM primaries. We have no intention even to portray our competitive interest in this election. No. The reason we are concerned about the current goings on in the NRM primaries is, one, deriving lessons from what Justice Kanyaihamba taught us about power, but also, two, we are conscious that if violence breaks out and it is not checked, it will not stop at the gates of the NRM offices. It will go into the community, it will go into the shops, it will go into institutions, it will spill over. Deaths have already occurred. The media is aware people have been killed already, cars have been burned, people have already been beaten. And that is dangerous. People have lost property already. And we are asking ourselves, so what happens today on the eve of that election tomorrow? And what will happen on the actual day? If this can happen days before, what will happen on the actual day? So we are conscious that that violence can easily spill out, and we are concerned. Secondly, there is a country at stake. That's why we come together to say no. If unfairness reigns, it will not only discredit a few candidates who are contesting. No. If unfairness reigns, there is a country at stake. It could easily not just merely dent the democracy, it could destroy the very democracy it is supposed to foster. You know, party elections, internal party processes are meant to foster democracy. But if you look at people beating and killing themselves, if you look at voters in harm's way, that simply means that there is a problem. There is a problem, and that problem could undermine the democracy it is supposed to advance. If fear replaces freedom, then democracy has been pushed out. So we issue this appeal, as I said earlier, not as rivals, not as competitors, but we are making a unified national call that the NRM party primaries scheduled for tomorrow, July the 16th, be held in peace, be held in dignity and full respect of democratic processes, be held while guaranteeing every Ugandan, every voter who will go there, that they will still be able to go back to their homes intact, and hopefully that their views will be respected. That's why we feel that a violent, disputed primary risks triggering nationwide unrest or undermining confidence in the entire electoral process. But also, as we've always said as parties that are in the opposition, you see, this election could easily stamp its mark by normalizing coercion. We already see people wielding guns, sticks, and whatever, normalizing coercion, and that it becomes a part of the tools for political survival, normalizing bribery rather than merit. And we don't want a country where that happens. Today, it used to happen to us as the opposition versus the NRM. Now it has reached the NRM house. We have to stop this so that we roll out, we encourage public trust in anything called election. So our appeal here is that let the NRM primaries tomorrow be peaceful. They have the power to make it peaceful, and we are making a demand on them. We don't want people to go there and be destroyed. Can they exercise fairness? Because if they fail now, they are going to transfer it to the general election. Can these elections become a reflection of the true will of the ordinary voters? That is our appeal. And so we make this connection with the tribute we are paying to the late Honorable Justice George Wilson Kanyaihamba, because he reminded all of us not to give up on democracy and accountability and good governance. Thank you very much.